My name is Tegan and I'm new to this booktube thing, and I wanted to start off by doing a tag that I saw on priceiswongs channel. It's the A to Z tag. The goal was to find as many books as you can on your shelves that begin with each letter of the alphabet. But I also decided that I wanted to, not just for book titles, but I wanted to do it with authors' last names as well. So I have some books here that I was able to find. It wouldn't really work for me to search for them on the video because I have so many bookshelves scattered around my house and they're not all in one spot. So there would be a lot of moving around. So I just decided to get them all ready here to show you guys. And also, some of them are on my Kindle. I found as many as I could in bound books, but there are going to be some on my Kindle. They're part of my shelves. They are my books, so I thought that would be fair, that I could count those. There's only about 4 or 5 of them on my Kindle because I absolutely had no author last name or title name on my shelves with the right letter. So I'm just going to jump into this because there is a lot. Let's get started with A. That is A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. B is Born of Hatred by Steve McHugh, and this is actually a book that was sent to me for review. C is Chalktown by Melinda Haynes. D is Desperation Lingers by Anthony Paul, and this one I actually have autographed to me. This one was another one I was sent for review, and this one I actually have been able to read, and it is hilarious. If you like comedy books, I highly recommend it. It's an adult novel, and it's really well written because it's hard to find books that actually make you laugh, that aren't really cheesy or corny, but this one was really good. For E, I have East of Eden by John Steinbeck. F, I have Freedom by Jonathan Franzen. G, I have Girl in the Cellar by Alan Hall and Michael Ledig. And this is about Natasha Kampusch. It's a true account from what she has reported, I guess. I haven't read this one yet, but there are pictures in there of her, so that should be interesting because that story interested me. And for H, I have Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger. I have not read this one, but I have read The Time Traveler's Wife by her, and it is excellent. For I have I See You Everywhere by Julia Glass. Not read that one. This is another book I was sent for review. It's Jeeves and the Wedding Bells by Sebastian Faulks. You can see it's an advanced reader's copy. K is Kept in the Dark by Penny Hancock. L is Lady's Maid by Margaret Forster. M is Mr. Timothy by Louis Bayard. N is Night Road by Kristen Hanna. I have not read this book, but I've read some other books by her, and I like her writing. O is One Breath Away by Heather Gudenkampf. P is Pacifically You by Christy A.C. Gooker, and this is another book that I have to review, and again, it's signed by the author. I was not able to find a Q book at all. I looked and looked and looked, and I don't have any, not even on my Kindle. So we're going to move on to R, which is Roots by Alex Haley. S is Schindler's List by Thomas Keneally. T is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I like this copy. It's actually a hardcover copy, and it was only like $7, I think. And it looks like perfect condition, and I like how the tent here, I don't think you guys can see it, but it's sort of puffy, like you can feel it on the cover. And the words too, they're embossed. U is Underwater Panther by Jonathan Cook. This is another book I have to read for review. V is a Kindle book, and that is Vlad All Over Sounds a little cheesy. That's by Beth Orsoff. I'm not sure what it's about, but I remember it was free. W is one of my favorite books of all time. It's my favorite book after the Harry Potter series. That is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I was not able to find an X at all. I looked and looked and couldn't find one. And Y, again, is on my Kindle, called, funnily enough, Y, by Marjorie Salona. For Z, I have Zorba the Greek by Nikos Kazantzakis, sorry. Now, that's the end of that. So I had all of them but 2. I was not able to find Q and X. I had everything else. So now I'm going to go to authors A through Z. And I'm going to start with A, which is Wedding Wipeout by Jacob M. Apple. This is another book that I got for review. The next one is Ishmael Bia, and the book is called A Long Way Gone. It's a memoir, so I'm looking forward to that. I like memoirs a lot. Michael Crichton, and the book is Sphere. I have not read this either, although I have read some Michael Crichtons before. D was actually kind of hard, and I found quite a few on my Kindle, but I couldn't find her. I only found one on my shelf, and I decided to use that because I wanted to use my physical books as much as possible before I went to Kindle. So this is actually written by 2 authors. It's called The Whatchamacallit by Danny Danziger and Mark McGrum. But the D counts, even though it's 2 authors, he's one of them. This is not really a novel. This is kind of a book that you want to just kind of read when you have some, free time and you're just tired of sitting and reading. It's a really fun book. It's those everyday objects you just can't name and things you think you know about but don't. So it has like weird things like a dongle is a small hardware device that plugs into a computer, generally to authenticate a particular piece of software. So that's what a dongle is. And then it says, Jazes are what discriminating children demand on their birthday cakes. A gaff is a hooked pole traditionally used by fishermen for pulling big fish ashore. That's what that looks like. So this is, I haven't read through all of it, but I have read bits and pieces of it. And it's kind of cool to just know some of this stuff that you've heard of and seen but never knew the name of. The umlaut is the name for those 2 little dots you see floating over the letters of a certain word. Like that. That's an umlaut. And yes, this is a pretty cool book. So I would suggest you pick this up if you like fun sort of stuff like that. My ebook is Night Ride Home by Barbara Estman. Crooked Letter by Tom Franklin for F. Looking for Alaska by John Green. I've never read any John Green books. I found this for $2, so this is the only John Green book I've been able to find that was on sale, and I haven't read this yet, so we'll see. I heard John Green on YouTube reading from The Fault in Our Stars, and I heard him read this like the first chapter, and it was kind of really hard for me to listen because I felt like the writing style was horrible, but I just didn't like the way he wrote. Even him reading it himself, I didn't like it, but I'm willing to give him a shot. So I was able to find this one. That's John Green. H is The Observations by Jane Harris. I was not able to find I. I did not think it was going to be that difficult of a letter, to find, but it was. Let's move on. 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. I've heard a lot about this. I've been wanting to read it, but at the same time, I haven't because I'm not really much for romance, and I'm kind of a little nervous. I've heard mixed reviews about this, so I'm not really sure. So let me know if it's a good book, if you've read it before. K is one of my favorite books of all time. Is Katrina Kittle, The Kindness of Strangers. This is an adult book about a lady who has to take in her son's best friend after something happens, and it's about, they notice that their son is starting to act weird, He stops becoming friends with his best friend, and they're in grade school. So I think they're like 11 or something. And there's pretty much a family secret that destroys some of these people's lives in here, and it does involve children. It's a really, really, really sad book, and it's kind of hard subject matter, like difficult to get through, difficult to sort of stomach, but if you can, it's really good. L is Thunderstruck by Eric Larson. This is the same author who wrote Devil in the White City. I have read that book. It was okay. I mean, it was a lot of history, and I didn't really care about the Great Fair in Chicago. I cared mostly about the murder part, and it kind of went back and forth between murder at the Chicago World's Fair and history and about the World's Fair. And there was too much history in it, so I didn't really like it, but I wanted to give his books one more shot because it wasn't horrible. So that's that. For M, I have Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Craig Nova, Wetware for N. Oh, this is a cute small little book. It's another one that I have for review. I haven't read it yet. Department of Speculation by Jenny Offal. And there's this in the front. Because this is a advanced reader's copy. I have a lot of books for review, just to warn you. P, this is another cute book like that, whatchamacallit. This is Forgotten Bookmarks, a bookseller's collection of odd things lost between the pages by Michael Popek. And I had picked this book up because I saw it for really cheap and it looked interesting. The author's family owns a bookstore, and books have come into their store, and they have different stuff in between the pages that people have used as bookmarks and people forgot to take out when they sold it to them. And so there's just pictures of all the stuff, of all of the bookmarks, and descriptions of what they are. And I believe I found this in looking for Alaska. I put this in this book because this is one that I found in a book, a really weird picture. And then it says J. Moss causing a ruckus, which they spelled wrong, but on the back. And so this was my own version of a forgotten bookmark, so I put it in here because I thought that was apt. This is another book I'm reading slowly. I haven't finished, but I'm kind of going through it when I really don't feel like reading, but I want to read something. Q is on my Kindle because I was not able to find anything else, so sorry about that. Another little piece by Kate Carius Quinn. R is Tatiana de Rosne, Sarah's Key. I've seen the movie, and it is amazing. And I've owned the book since before I saw the movie, but I haven't got a chance to read it yet. So I'm hoping it's good. Shanghai Girls by Lisa C. Eat Shoots and Leaves by Lynn Truss. And for you, it's another Kindle book. I had a hard time finding you, and I almost did not. I have 430 almost books on my Kindle, so it took me a little while to find this one, and it was like really towards the very, very bottom of my 400 and whatever books I have, so I almost didn't find it, but I did. I finally found a U author, the only one I could find. It is They Killed My Father by Leung Ung. I'm not sure. She's Cambodian. It's a memoir about her life in Cambodia. For V, I have City of Saints and Madmen by Jeff Vandermeer. W, I'm reading this book currently. Right now, I really just started it. It's only 118 pages, I think, so it's really short. I should be able to finish it tonight. Is Elie Wiesel, Night. He spent some time in a concentration camp, and he had to watch his family die around him, but somehow he survived, and so this is his account of what happened to him during the Holocaust, because he's a Jew. Was not able to find an X. I looked and looked and looked, and I figured I would be able to find Xavier or something. Nope. So I don't have an X, but I do have a Y on my Kindle, and that is The Program. Most of you have probably heard of this, by Suzanne Young. Z is one of my favorite books. I had read this. I had got it for free during a book swap, and I read it, and then I put it back into the book swap for somebody else to get, and then I realized recently, I mean, this was a couple of years ago that I got it from the book swap, and then I realized a couple months ago, man, I missed that book. I really want to be able to read it again. That was also partly because I found out it's a trilogy, and I did not know that. So I wanted to get it again, but this is a book, I still haven't read it for a second time. I've only read it once, but this is a book I want to read again. I see myself reading again, so I had to go out and buy it, even though I had already had it, and add it to my bookshelf. That is by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, for Z, and it is The Shadow of the Wind. And it is a New York Times bestseller, and it definitely deserved it. It's one of the best books I've read probably like ever. So it's really good. Okay, that is it for this video. It's already really long, so I don't want to go into any more detail. And if you want to leave any comments, please comment below. Any requests or suggestions or anything for videos, then let me know. Alright, bye.